Hi folks, John Cordisco back again. Round 10, last round of the Gibraltar Tradewise Chess Festival 2016. This is the Masters section between Anna Muzychuk, whose sister Maria is currently the women's world champion. Anna's a good player in her own right, rated 25-37. And Saleh Salam, I've seen him around. He's an interesting character. He's a nice guy. As black, I believe he might be from Arab Emirates, or whatever they call it there in the Middle East. Or Qatar, I'm not sure. He's somewhere in there. Good guy, though. And is playing for the first place prize in the ladies. 15,000 pounds. That comes out to about $19,500 US. So this is serious money. Anna's in the hunt with several other female players. Former world champion, 2 or 3 others. Irina Crush from the U.S. was in it, but unfortunately she lost in the last round. Let's see how she does here. Muzychuk is white. Salam is black. It's going to be a Sicilian Nadorf. We'll go through the opening here. We've all seen a couple of thousand million times. Bishop goes to G5, H6. Doesn't want to give up the dark squared bishop. G5, typical Sicilian stuff. But usually it's white that's pushing on the king side, black on the queen side. We'll see how this works out. Bishop G7. Obviously he's going for it. H3, kick the knight. Knight goes to E5. Knight goes right up. Now what do you do here? He gives up his light squared bishop. So now white has the bishop pair. And a pawn right on F5, right in black's camp. Knight, bishop B2, rook C8. That's the last book move according to the computer, but I don't remember this line. I'm not an expert in Sicilian Nadorf by any chance, but I don't recall a pawn being at F5. I'm sure it's some sideline. Knight D5, Knight C4. Now you can see she's really pushing hard. She needs to win this game. This is her last chance to tie for first place or win it outright. 19,500 US is nothing to sneeze at for a ladies' prize. That's why this tournament draws so many top women players. And I applaud that, by the way. A bishop takes, rook takes, castle. Okay. White's king secure. Black's king I'm not so sure of yet. Knight E5. Not as good as bishop takes B2, and I'll tell you why. After rook B1, bishop moves off, rook takes B7, and I like white here. Threading a couple things. That C7 square is nothing really black can do about it. White controls it. White's gonna get his queen up here somehow. Queen here maybe. Go after this pawn, or even to here. So I like white here. But with knight to E5 instead, pawn up, rook C5, pawn takes, bishop takes. Okay. Cleared out a little bit of the king side. I think maybe if the queens come off the board or she gets nerve enough, pawn can come up, start an attack. H5 to put the kibosh right on that. Bishop B3, hitting the rook. Rook C6. Now, it's about a 1.5 advantage for white, and I like white's chances here. I mean, we're looking at things like pawn pushes. You could even go pawn here. You got this rook bearing down. So this knight's in a really good spot. There's not a heck of a lot black can do about it. Bishop G5 for white. Bishop F6. Black had gone F6. Computer likes Bishop H4. And I do as well. After C8 for the queen. But after Bishop F6, Bishop takes, pawn takes, Queen B3. And I think black's just digging himself deeper. B5 for black. A4. Open it up. Rook C5. And slowly but surely, I think white's winning this game. Queen to D1. Looking at some tricks with that knight. That queen is kind of stuck there, babysitting the pawn on F6. That's part of the problem. King F8. B4 hitting the rook. Rook moves. Pawn takes. Pawn takes. Rook A5. Now, she's just squeezing him. How's he going to save the pawn on B5? He can't. Rook takes B5. Rook to G8. Feigning some kind of an attack, but it's just not there. And what happens is moving that rook allows his queen to get in, and that's what she does. Queen H5. Pretty gutsy right there. But all the squares are covered. This square is covered. This square is covered. So maybe the king is safer than it looks. Rook to A5. Rook H8. Queen goes back to E2. What to do? What to do? Queen B8 now. This is where she makes her move. Everything's on the line here for her. She has to win this game in order to win first place. Almost $20,000 US. Computer calls for rook to D1. Just slowly build up. Rook F to A1. She decides to go knight takes F6. She's about a 2.5 point advantage for white. Now it's down to 2, but now you have to think about it. King takes F6 is the move. She plays rook. He plays rook takes pawn, and that's a disaster. He should have played instead king takes and then rook takes. And it's still bad. Still bad. After pawn takes the rook, queen takes C4, and it's just a disaster. But after rook takes C3, knight to D5, moves the knight off, and attacks the rook, picking up a tempo. Rook comes back. Now F6 check. And black's just digging himself deeper. King F8. Rook 8 F1. Here it comes. Rook D8. Queen A6. Here comes the heavy artillery. Now you got to be careful here. Queen takes. Rook takes. Rook takes. Rook takes mate. Pawn's guarding the escape squares. Maybe instead, queen to C2 might have been a little better. After king G8, knight to C7. Queen checks. King H1 in. I mean, look at this mess for black. But queen A6 is good enough. And after rook to H5, rook B5. Now she's coming in for the kill. Queen D8. Queen B7. Now this pawn looms very large. Rook G5. Rook comes over, threatening to go to A8. Queen D7. Queen takes. Knight takes. Knight C7. Hitting the rook. I think maybe a better move would have been knight to B6. After knight takes B6, rook takes G5, because you see the rook's in pre now. If rook takes the rook, pawn takes and guards the knight. But after knight to C7, rook takes A5, pawn takes, rook C8. Just closing in. A6, here comes the pawn. Now if you take the knight, the pawn will queen, but he does it anyway. A7, has to give up the rook. Takes, takes, Rook A4, king, takes the pawn, king E6. This is a lot. This isn't easy, but it's not that hard either. King F2, you bring the king up. We'll go through the last few moves here. Get that rook in open spaces. It's just, black is just doomed. Pawn takes, knight, king E4. It's just technique now. And that's where black resigns. Wonderful game. Wonderful game. Basically, what's black going to do here? Just a great game. So congratulations to Anna Muzychuk with this win. She gets first place women's prize. Almost $20,000 US. Well done, well done. Probably one of the biggest paydays she's ever had. And good for her. Her sister, Maria, is going to be defending her title here soon. So we'll see how that works out. But anyway, folks, there it is. The last game from the women's section, anyway, I'm going to cover in the Gibraltar Tradewise Chess Festival. I hope you enjoyed it. Look for other games in round 10 here, the last round. Carl Nakamura, others are fighting for first place in the Master section. But I want you to remember, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.